What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis, and of course you are watching TWA Motorsports. And just like the thumbnail says, today we are trying a new intake from North American Performance. So look, these guys reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in making a video of not only unboxing this but installing it, and I said yeah, absolutely, because it intrigued me because it is so different than anything you've ever seen before on one of these trucks. Look, a while back I actually got this S&B intake. I installed it on my gray truck, my Denali. I took it off the Denali, set it up on the shelf when I bought this truck. I had it over there, so I just put it on. And it's been performing decent. I have no issues whatsoever. Guys, look, I haven't noticed like a night and day difference when I put this on. Maybe a little bit in the gas mileage. It may get about 1 mile per gallon better, but I really don't even track that anymore. But this company reached out to me, and I was looking through their website, and I was like, well, this is kind of different. It kind of makes it look like an old school car. And so you're going to see when we get it open, but I will list their link in the description down below if you want to pick this up. So not only does it look different, but it is supposed to perform better than anything else on the market. And from the looks of things, like, they've done back-to-back dyno hits, and it does. So I'm interested to see if I feel any difference when I get it on there, but just to me, it's just kind of a cool look. So you'll see, like I said, when I get it out. But first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna open this box. We're gonna get this one out. Obviously, we gotta take the S&B one off, and we'll set it up here on the shelf or sell it or whatever. I generally like to keep all my stock stuff, so like you can see the S&B box up there, because a lot of times when I sell it, I'll take this stuff that's simple to take off out of the truck. You know, the last one, I took the lowering kit off, and that's what's on this truck. So let's unbox this thing first. Let's see what we're getting into, and then we'll get into the install. Well, you have never seen anything like this. This is this makes a newer LT engine look like an old school small block with the whole intake. Check this out. So this is cool because for a couple reasons. Like I said, it was different. It's well made. Listen, that's metal. They made my little TWA Motorsports logo, and they also sent me a red one. So in the other box, I've got another box over there with a red cap. So if you unscrew this, their logo right there has a reusable filter. Look at this thing. And I know what you're probably asking. You're like, well, where does your mass airflow sensor go? I don't know. I haven't looked into any of this, the instructions or whatnot, but this is just such a cool design. I just think it's really neat. And it kind of gives that, I don't know, just gives that old school look, which is kind of cool, and covers up some of that ugly engine. You know, the engines, the one thing I will say about, look, we obviously know, or I think, that the LS motor and the LT motor are some of the best performing vehicles on the face of the planet, and one of the best motors ever, but they're not pretty. You can make them prettier, but they're just ugly. And so there's a bunch of crap under there that I think this is gonna help cover up, and it's just gonna look a little nicer. So I'm gonna get this stuff out of the box, really well packaged. Obviously we've got a tube here, we've got, I'm not even sure what all this stuff is, guys. It looks like a mass airflow extension harness. I'm not sure what this cap is for. Yeah, got a few things there. Obviously, we've got instructions here on the other side, so we'll look into that. And I think I'm just gonna leave this in the box for now. You guys kind of got to look at that. We'll take a little more of that apart when we get a little deeper in this install, but let me pop open the instructions because I've literally never installed one of these, and we'll go through it together and see what's involved. The very first step in here that it shows is to turn your filter life off on your driver's information center. So I actually had this problem with this intake. So when I put this on like a weekend, it started giving me an error saying that I needed to change the air filter. It's not used to seeing different flow rates. And so if you don't turn that off, you're gonna have to have like a snap-on or something in order to get it reset in order to turn it off. But mine is off, but I'm gonna try to show you guys. We're a little close quarters here. I've got junk all jammed in weird in the shop, but show you what I'm talking about here. I think I should be able to get to it with the truck off. No, it's not gonna let me. Let's just do it this way. So over here, we're gonna scroll over to information, which is my tire pressures. We're gonna go down. Oh, I already missed it. See air life, how it's disabled? That is what you need it to be at. If you click or hold this down, the check mark button or the roller wheel, it will enable it. So make sure that you do that first, because like I said, if you don't, it will not allow you to reset it after a certain amount of time. And then you're gonna have to go to a GM dealer or find somebody with a snap-on scanner. That's what I had to do at work to turn that off. So that's the very first thing. Other than that, it's gonna be a little bit different on this. It's talking about how to remove the factory intake, which obviously we don't have that, but I am gonna show you kind of the removal process. And then once we get everything out of the way, we'll start grabbing stuff out of this box and going together and showing you how that works. Now, there's a lot of things that have to come undone here. I'm gonna go ahead and start with this guy. I think this clip actually was broken when I bought this truck, but we'll see if we can get it out of here. It doesn't like to come off. If I remember correctly, I lifted the whole thing off the box, but we've got that. We've got a couple fittings inside the side of the box that we need to take out. Christmas tree clips is what I call them. Get those out of the box, and then I'm going to go ahead, we're going to take the filter tube off. I'm going to unplug the mass airflow sensor. That's what this guy is. There's also a tube hooking it back here. Like I said, this is going to be a little different for you if you're pulling the stock stuff off, but can't even see it. Undo the screw on the throttle body, and then I should be able to just push this and pull that off. Okay, so we get the tube out of the way. This is the wire that I'm talking about, so we'll disconnect it on the extension here. Another lock. And now our old tube's out of the way. Pretty simple on that. I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy off. I think I'll have to get a different tube. I think it came with one for this. These are just kind of a push in, remove style clip. So if you push in on this, you can pull that right off. It comes with new stuff in this other kit. This will kind of cover up my dirty daily driver engine here. Looks disgusting under here. We'll get that off, and then I'm gonna off camera just take this box out. I've got to take, well, no, I'm not. I've got to take this little cover out of the center. So we're gonna have to take all these clips out to get this out, because there is a tube that feeds into that box that I've got to remove. I didn't think about that, but yeah. Dang, I forgot about that. There's several different ways you could take these out. I have had the best luck with these trim pulling tools. So these have a little opening right here in the corner. If you get that center started, the center lifts up, and then you can get underneath it and pull it completely out. There's several of these around this truck. So I won't bore you guys with making you watch me remove all of them, but let me get all of these out. They go up this rail on the front, and we need to get this tray out. But before we do that, there is a I believe it's a T15 or a T10. Let me go grab that real quick. We've got to pull this handle off. Once we have all these out, this is loose, but you can't take this out until you remove these, and they are T15s. Two T15s. Couple screws here. Get this out of the way. It kind of slides back and off. And then we can lift our whole package tray. Almost looks like a package tray to me. Lift that out of the way, set it aside. Now, on this particular intake, there is a 10 millimeter that I have to get to with a wrench underneath. So in order to get to it, I've got to pop out this fake piece of glass. I have to reach in there, get this 10 millimeter out that's down here. And like I said, I have to do that with a ratcheting wrench. So I'm going to get that out. That's all that's holding the front of this, but there is another clip right here. There's an inlet tube. And there's a clip that I have to take out. In fact, let's just go ahead and do that. If you take this clip out, we can slide this thing back a little out of the box. All right, that should be good enough. Normally I take out this crossbar, but you've got enough room to not have to take that out. So now all I have to do is get the 10 millimeter out of that, which I'll do off camera, and we'll get this box out of the way. So normally when you don't have this in here, there's a stud that you have access to with the stock box. But when you put this S&B one had one, it's a stud there's a stud that sticks through, and you've got to reach in the box to get it out. Once we get that out, a little 10 millimeter there, this box is loose. We just have to move it forward enough to get it out. There's two little rubber grommets underneath your coolant tank that it's got to slide out of in order to get it out. I don't know if the rubber grommets fell out. But there's normally two rubber grommets right here that set in this cavity. There's one here and one here. Yeah, I see them down there on the bottom. I'm going to grab those real quick, get those out of the way, and we should have everything out. One thing I will tell you about removing the factory stuff is there is a clip over here on the left, right above the alternator. This clip right here, if you pry it apart, you can swing your old intake out of the way. There's this big air silencer on the stock one, which you generally break when you're pulling it apart. But if you're real careful, sneak in from the side here and pry the plastic off of this, you should be able to release it and then get it off of this clip. This is just the weirdest clip I've ever seen, but it's the way GM chose to do it. Now we could get on to hopefully installing some new stuff. So there's a cap in the new kit that's meant to cover the opening in your box. So I guess you're supposed to leave your original box in there, but I'm not going to put it back in. I don't see the point in it. But what I am going to have to do is I took the two screws that came with this kit out, and this is your mass airflow sensor. Be careful with it. This came with aftermarket screws, so I'm gonna have to get in the stock one and get the stock screws out. They should be T20s. These were Phillips. So let me grab those. I'm gonna set this somewhere safe, keeping it out of the way, but I don't think I'm gonna put the stock box back in. Although it hooks to the stock box, we may see if we can hook that somewhere else. To me, it's like, we'll just keep everything open. I guess maybe I didn't have to do that. This is what they're talking about. So this piece will bolt in your mass airflow sensor opening and then covers the factory air box that would normally be here. But like I said, we're gonna leave that out. I don't see any problem with leaving it out. So that's what I'm gonna do. Next, we need to install that mass airflow sensor in this guy. So it's telling me to take the cover off, take this guy off. I'm gonna try to set it somewhere where it won't get scratched. And we need to flip this over. So let me get this set somewhere where it's not gonna cause any problems. And we'll get this flipped over and see where we need to install the mass airflow sensor. One of the best packaging jobs I've ever seen on oh, there we go. Well, that's interesting. So I'm assuming they're gonna provide screws, but right here is where our mass airflow sensor is gonna go in. So let me go grab it. I set it over there on the toolbox, and we're gonna look through their package here. I would assume, yeah, they provided a couple Torx to put the mass airflow sensor in the tube here. They do provide the screws to mount this, so should be relatively easy. I was just seeing which way it went. Generally, they're like offset. The bolt holes in a mass airflow sensor are offset, so you should only have one going one way and one going the other. Kudos to them though for giving you an actual T20, which is what if you lost the screws, you have screws. Because the S&B one, it's like I said, they're Phillips. And we're just going into plastic here, so obviously don't get nutty on tightening these. Make sure that your seal is sealing up though. You don't want any unmetered air sneaking around that guy. Now we need to go get the tube that's supplied, this guy here, and we need to put it on. And I think we'll have to put our mass airflow extension harness on as well. Next two things it shows are to put the mass airflow extension harness on, which is provided. Push the lock down, making sure it's nice and seated, and it is. And then we've got the old school GM clamps for this thing. I actually bought a tool for this recently. This guy here, and they're hit or miss. I bought this from Matco though, so it's supposed to be good because it's Matco, you know. But we will see if we can get it in here. So you pop this apart, you get this clip lined up in these channels here, and then kind of clamp it down, and that's what we get. There we go. So now it should slide over the hose relatively easy. And then we just release it once we get it on, but I'm gonna push it down a little ways. I think this tool will come in handy. I'm not exactly sure which way this hose should be pointing though. So we may have to renegotiate that, but for now, we'll get it on there, kind of positioned where I want, and then we will release this clamp. Easier said than done, apparently. There we go. And that's it. Oh, now I can't get my tool off. There we go. That's a handy tool to have. All right, let's see what we got next. Now we're over to the truck, and we've got the ducting that they've provided. And this should only go on one way, okay? So there's a little piece here to line up. I believe the smaller end goes here. And so there's a little tab on the top of your throttle body. This thing needs to point straight up, and this tab should be this little rubber tab, which this is a really nice piece. That rubber tab should be centered with this metal tab. So we're gonna put it on there. Get it on as far as we can. And then we're gonna go ahead and snug it down with an 8mm. Man, this is nice. This has the cutouts so the clamp doesn't slip. I may have to be where the camera is to tighten it down though. So let me get that snug down. I really like this. This piece here, so this 90, look, a lot of times places send you 90 and they're all the same shape. This one has a bevel, so you know exactly when you're on, okay? So like, I pushed it until it stopped on the throttle body because there's a bevel there and it stops. Like, most of the aftermarket companies just get a cheapy silicone piece. And guys, look, I'm not being paid to say this. When I see pieces that are like quality, even the straps or the worm clamps are black. They're like powder coated black. So just little stuff like that tells me that this place cares about like quality pieces and what they sell. So hey, kudos to them for that. So let's move on. We've got that piece on there, and that's pretty much all there is on this page of the instructions, making sure that's lined up, making sure that you get that one snug, and we're snug. So now we're gonna move on to this step, and let's see, install the rear isolators into the system's rear mounting slots. So there's a little isolator that goes in the end. You'll see that in here in just one second. Let's get that. I set this thing up here so you could see, but there is a little metal liner that goes inside of this, and that's gonna point down, and then we're gonna slide these into both sides of this. Oh, sorry, the metal points up. My bad. I'm gonna take the other one out. The metal piece points up. I mean, I guess I could have just pulled the metal piece out and put it on the other side. Not a big deal. Now, we're ready to try to set this thing in here, I believe. Oh, okay. I think I see how it's gonna go. Oh man, what a fit. That fit's nice. Wow, okay. So I'm assuming the tube that we put in there, I'm kind of skipping ahead here, but the tube that we put underneath is gonna kick over to the top of our valve cover. Obviously, our mass airflow sensor extension harness is gonna go over here and plug in with that stuff. And I may try to make sure things are zip tied away from the belt. Actually, there's a couple things I need to clean up from prior install real quick off camera. We'll put that back on just a second. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, I don't know if you guys noticed, but it's setting right here in this opening. We're gonna have a couple bolts that go here now. So I'm gonna pull these guys out. And we'll set those aside because there's gonna be bolts there instead. But now we're ready to drop that intake into that opening. The good thing is you can see down inside, make sure everything's fitting like it's supposed to. So let's do that real quick. Remember, our tube's gonna go out over there. We'll worry about that here in a little bit. And our mass airflow sensor is gonna go the other way. But you just wanna make sure that it fits down in here, and it does. I am literally seated in that 90 that kicks up. We are in. Man, that looks so different than what I'm used to seeing when you pop the hood on one of these things. So cool. Now, obviously you want to make sure that that thing's fully seated, and then we can get down here and tighten that 8mm. I'm going to use a light so we can obviously reach, and I can see what I'm tightening. The fittings on the front, I actually can reach a little further than what I thought. So you want to make sure it's fully seated. Like I said, it's got that nice little groove so you know when it's seated. And I'm going to go ahead and snug this down, this other 8mm, the other side of the 90 basically. And I'm putting pressure up against it just to make sure it doesn't like want to walk its way out. And then you can kind of give it a tug to make sure you're good. I think we are good there. I'm going to go ahead and put this stuff back together. I could just pull this completely out, I suppose. But I'm going to put this clip back in it. And then I'm going to put this tray back in, and obviously we're just using the same push clips, using the 15mm on the center to get the hood latch back in place. I'll do that off camera real quick since you saw me already take it apart. Just a heads up, you should have put that in before now, because this goes over the top of it. So might be a good idea to do that first. I was able to sneak it around. At least it's plastic. It's a little bit, you know, you can move it around a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna put all but these two in because it came with 2 Christmas tree clips to put in to tie this down in the front. So I'll get all these other ones in. We'll leave that for last. One in the middle. Now that that's all back together, we've got a couple bolts that came with it to go in the back here. So these are just, they look to be 10mm. But they push up through the bottom of the cowl, and then we're gonna see if we can get them lined up. Maybe easier said than done. There it comes. Come on. There we go. So we'll get our 10mm nut on there, get these things snugged. what locates the back of it. And then for the front, like I said, we're just gonna have a couple clips. Okay, that'll work. Looks good. Let's go grab the clips. Now we've got these Christmas tree clips that are gonna go right here. Push that down. And there you have it. I'm kind of wondering, like, well, okay, I guess the air comes in here. All right, underneath this. Odd. I don't know. Anyway, we've got that part finished. I've got the 2 bolts up against the firewall tight. So now we need to plug in the mass airflow extension harness. So that, where's that guy at? I put it over here, right here. And we need to mate it up with the original harness. That's pretty simple. Well, I said it's pretty simple. There we go. And then, like I said, I'm gonna zip tie some stuff up and out of the way, especially since I don't have the box here to hold this. I'm gonna try to fasten stuff so it stays out of the belt and out of the way of everything. But we're getting pretty close here. I think the only other thing is the tube. That tube that we put on the bottom of it, we got another clamp here, and that's gonna go on this, just like I thought, over here on the passenger side intake. So I'm gonna use that tool, just put this on the tube, and it literally is just gonna press on the intake over here. So that's pretty simple. Let me get it loaded up in my gun, and I'll show you once we get it on there. You can kind of see what I'm talking about here on this passenger side, on the intake. I literally just put that clamp, comes out of the bottom of this, and we are set. I think the only things we have to do now, other than clean some stuff off that I made a mess of, is we just need to set the, this guy, set you back in place. Look at how nice that fits. I assume on their website, guys, I haven't looked recently, but I would assume you could get replacement filters. I think this is an oilable, cleanable filter, so probably can clean it. But yeah, it looks nice. I don't know, I'm like back and forth. I'll open the red one so you guys can see it, but we've obviously got the white one sitting over there. Let's start with that. I'm gonna zip tie this stuff up real quick, and we'll start with that piece. You can see we've got, first of all, I cable tied this up. You can put, if you're using your stock box, that cap that comes over and closes up that hole, that opening where you took the tube off, it has cable management in it, built into it to put the wires. So if you're doing it the way the instructions say, that would kind of be the way it works. But there's something else I was gonna show you. I put this on, and I think I may end up running the white one, I don't know, just for contrast. But there's something I wanted to show you here. It's just so crazy. Okay, so back here there's plugs, and you can take these plugs out for sound, okay? So let's say you kind of want to tune the sound of this thing. You could pop those out and then put them back in as needed. I didn't even notice that. I was reading that in the instructions and I thought, well, kind of that's cool, you know? Nobody else does that kind of stuff. Quality cap too. I mean, just everything about this, even down to this guy, is like, got their logo on it, just quality stuff. Like I said, I'm not being paid to say this. Yes, they sent me the intake to try, but this thing's nice. I'm gonna go pop the red one out so you could see it, and we'll see which one we like better. So I opened the red one at work when I got it, and I didn't notice, but it also has my logo on it. So we're probably gonna have to run the red one, you know? It just has the best look. Look at that. Little TWA Motorsports action. So sick. Listen, guys, I don't know if they offer that for you know, like an added cost to put maybe another logo or something on it. I think we gotta go with the red. What do you think? I'm kind of one of those picky ones that I like to see all my caps facing this way. So we're gonna live with it right there. I love it. I love the look of that. I definitely like the red better. Just goes with the truck, you know? Old school muscle car here. So I bet you're wondering, does it work? Well, I don't know. We're gonna see together. let's drive this thing down the road and see what happens, right? May go haywire. Maybe it doesn't. Here's one thing I'll tell you. I did not unhook the battery for this whole operation. Should you? Yeah, you probably should. Look, we're dealing with intakes. The only thing we unplugged was a mass airflow sensor. As long as you get everything plugged back in, you should be fine. We don't have any lights, any weirdness going on. It's idling great. I don't know, maybe this truck has always felt slow to me. The gray truck that I had before, the Denali, same motor, same transmission, same exact modifications. I did have exhaust on that one, but you know, that's what, 5 horsepower, and it felt faster when I was stock. So I don't know, maybe this intake's gonna be better. We'll see. And then I don't think the camera is gonna do it justice as far as like pulling out those plugs. I don't necessarily think you'll hear that. Maybe you will. I think you'd probably have to be at like wide open throttle to hear that, but seems to be running fine, driving fine, idling fine. We're gonna let it warm up a little bit, then I'll flip the camera back on once. It's not like I'm gonna do a full quarter-mile pull. I will. The throttle, okay, so it definitely is more responsive. The throttle response is way different. Okay, so there's definitely a change there because and I'm not just saying this because I'm one of those guys, you put like a cold air intake on and you're like, I don't really feel a difference. The throttle response is way sharper. That's interesting. This is the first intake I've ever put on in my life of doing this for like 25 years where I felt an immediate change. When I was 16, I had an S10 that had a ton of blow-by, and it'd get to the point where 50 miles an hour is as fast as it would go. You would go to the store, like the parts store, get a new air filter, put it in, and it would run like a top. That's the difference that it feels like to me. Wow. Okay, so babe, listen. This is no joke. I'm gonna let it warm up, and now it's got me a little bit intrigued. Okay, so there is a massive difference in what I had before in this. I'm telling you, seat of the pants, you can feel it. I'm not getting paid to say this. I know I've said that a couple times, but like, I'm not. If it sucked, I would either take it off and not make this video and send it back to them and tell them like, hey, you know, thanks for it, but it's not gonna work. That's kind of how I approach all these people that reach out to me. But this is insane. I'm gonna do a stop here. This thing would barely roll the tires over before. Let's see what happens. Oh my gosh, the traction control caught. Okay, I'm telling you guys, let's turn the traction control off. Where the heck's that button at? I never turn it off in this truck. How bad is it that I don't know where the traction control is? Auto start stop. Traction control. I think we got to hold it down a couple seconds to get everything off. Now it's colder today, so that doesn't, you know, that shouldn't count, but it would never do that before. Never. This is insane. I've never had an intake that made that much of a difference. It's louder too. Like, the engine's louder. I think I'll leave the plugs in. I may experiment with it down the road, but wow. Just like the rolling like this at, what are we, 40 miles an hour, and then you just tag into it, the throttle's so much crisper. I'm super impressed. All right, let's get this thing back to the house before I get pulled over. And yeah, incredible. We just got back. I don't know if you guys can hear this thing popping, and you know how they crackle and whatnot. After you get them warm, go out for a spirited drive. I just wanted to make sure everything was snug. Everything feels good. I am so blown away. I'm almost speechless. I have done, look, over the years between Air Raid, S&B, K&N, like the SLP stuff on the Trans Am. I don't even remember what we just put on the GTO. I've never put an intake on and been impressed. It's just like what you do, right? So you need an intake when you start adding power. You know, if you're looking to keep it mostly stock, like something like this, you do stuff like that, right? But I'm telling you, I have never had a product that was this impressive. I don't know. It almost makes me wonder if like there's like, that one's filter's really dirty. I don't know. I put the S&B up on the shelf. I think one of these days we'll probably buy another SUV with this engine. And I thought, you know, I'll keep that up there and I'll throw it on. I'm not. I'm going to sell that or throw it away. It is that big a difference. I will put one of these on every one of these trucks I ever get. It is that impressive. I challenge you guys. Listen, like I said, I'm not getting paid to do this. They did send me the product to try. I'm not getting paid to tell you this. I will be very honest. I've done it in past videos with suspension stuff. I am not one of the, look, I've worked for everything that you see out here in the shop. I am not one of those guys that's going to say, oh, go buy this, spend $1,600 on this part because I said to. I'm not bought, okay? I've always prided myself in all the videos that I make. If it's not better, I won't tell you it's better. I just won't do it because I've had to work for all this stuff. I don't want to see somebody go spend a bunch of money on something that doesn't work or they don't feel like they got their money's worth. And so when you get something that's this good, I'm literally going to, as soon as I get done filming this, I'm going to send them a message and be like, this is the best thing I've ever used. I'm truly impressed. Not only that, it looks incredible. Some people, it may be controversial, right? You may not like this. You're never under the hood anyway. I think this looks better than that ugly engine bay. There is no doubt. It makes me want to clean this. In fact, I probably will. Just because it's like when you have something that's good, out of all the stuff that's been going on in the shop, oil leaks and stuff not fitting, when you have something that actually turns out right, it's really energizing for everything else. Okay, so guys, hopefully you enjoyed the install of this video. I truly think this is the best product on the market for these trucks. I don't even need to try anything else. I've tried them all before. It's the best. I still kind of want to experiment with the plugs. I really wish, I have a Draggy. I wish that I would have done a before and after. But the Draggy's dead. I haven't used it in so long. I'm impressed. But anyway, hopefully you guys did enjoy the install of this new intake from North American Performance. Guys, go check them out. Go check them out. You will not be disappointed. If you did, please, like always, smash that thumbs up button. Guys, if you are not subscribed, go down, hit the subscribe. Of course, like always, ring that bell notification. That will notify you every single time we drop a new video on this or anything else. And stay tuned to see what we work on next.